Hello, everybody. This is Christian again. Just wanted to do a brief little video on the Developer Advocate Program because I've been getting a lot of questions about it. What's the purpose? How do you sign up? And what would you theoretically do in that role? So to get started, I think the best thing is to kind of go over the program slides. And give me here a second and I'll share that. Essentially, the idea for this is based on how open source program office work in other building or not other buildings, other companies. And essentially one of the key roles is you'll have the manager of the department, some program manager, a data analyst to go over open source project data. And then you'll have a developer advocate who is kind of like a technical community manager who interacts with the developers and builders, brings their pains and concerns back to the program office, and then they tailor their approach and policies towards that. Of course, with us being a members-based organization, we don't have a program office anymore. We have an open source office just so we can execute the committee who is the one who does all the policies for us. What we do is we just orchestrate their policies and help organize those open source strategies within Intersect. And then you get into a legal structure and a technical evangelist who just kind of promotes open source projects at events and such. But focusing on that developer advocate role, I realized I could go and hire one person for this, but because of how expansive Cardano is and how many different tech stacks we already have within Intersect, I wanted to give it back to the community and pull out people who are already out there reaching and such to actually coordinate with us and give them a small compensation divvied out of what would be one person's salary to multiple individuals. So that way we get as much coverage as we can. And it's already picking up people who are doing the work and just compensating them to keep doing that. So I'll go ahead and go over the program altogether itself, but that was kind of my idea and approach behind this. So what is a developer advocate? Essentially, they're people who are going to give dedicated support and advocacy to nurture developer talent, foster collaboration, and basically be a person who helps onboard new developers. They're kind of your go-to, your first person that you would interact with, hopefully. And they're going to be incentivized to basically reach out to all these developer working groups, participate in them, make sure the open source office is aware of this, and bring to our attention projects that may be struggling, projects that are like a key milestone. Hopefully it never happens, but that we can find those log4j projects before it goes to that critical of a factor, and basically help us help the developers. If the saying goes, you only know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And I focus on that latter bit a lot, which is I don't know what I don't know. And if I don't have someone to go out there and pick out what I don't know, I can't support it or help make it vibrant and thriving. So, and I'll just read directly off this slide, but a developer advocate is a technical liaison typically employed by a technology company or organization which represents interests of developers in the broader community. They often engage in activities such as writing code samples, giving presentation, hosting workshops, or offer technical assistance to developers. They basically serve as a bridge between the developers and Intersect, yeah, basically Cardano and Intersect. This was written for more of a centralized IP company. But essentially, this program was my strategic initiative to try and empower the already existing developer advocates, even though they don't have the official title, through this program. I'm only looking to start with 3 right now until we get renewed budgets. Then I'm going to expand the program. But this is a test and trial and trying to hit 3 different areas within the developer community. So what I'm trying to get at this and achieve is obviously support onboarding into Cardano. That's one of the key things that is not currently addressed very well. We do have pioneer programs and stuff like that, but for the guy who just bought ADA on Coinbase and is a developer and then wants to get in Cardano because he sees how cool the tech is, that these are people he could plug in with, or if he's new to Intersect, there's like a million different ways a contributor can come into the ecosystem. But this is to help them get started and become more core and casual developers within Cardano. I know Haskell's already a barrier of entry to most people just because of the learning curve. And I have different ideas to attack that as well. But something I'm hoping that the developer advocates can come and help with is understanding what it takes from being a new beginner to becoming a merit-based contributor, and having a contribution ladder. And I do recommend everyone look up that term in open source. But a contribution ladder is basically starting from day one to day whatever it ends up being. A way you could even potentially end up as a project maintainer. Obviously, you got to specialize in a certain project and coordinate with that project to eventually have them want you to come on as a maintainer and or a trusted committer. But basically, this helps decentralize that centralization factor that the core Cardano projects have had for a long time. And with the open source strategy from the committee to diversify maintainers and the project use base or contributor base, this is one of the core pillars that'll help us do that. The other thing that I'm wanting the developer advocates to assist me with is determining what the certifications and merit-based contribution means. There's already things out there in the wider ecosystem that we're not aware of, but what trainings can new people take to actually become more knowledgeable to help them when they start engaging with projects and try to come up with a learning program certification and such. We also want community engagement. This is the community manager side of it, where these people are essentially going to be there to answer questions, engage the community, get their sentiment, specifically for developers and builders, just because that's a big part of the Cardano community. And I don't feel like we effectively represent the whole. We do have a lot of people we key engage with, but there are those on the periphery that I would like to reach, and these developers will give us more hands on deck to do so. The other piece to this too is with the I forgot what I was going to say. Community engagement. Oh, there's a developer experience working group that the open source committee took on to recently, and I am trying to encourage people to join that group. It's been around for a long time, but their whole priority, to my knowledge, is to get the developer pain points. Why is it hard on Cardano? And try to put outputs to the committee that can help express the developer experience and improve things, and even influence the policies to help developers. Since that is the open source committee's core audience, we want to make sure that we represent that effectively. And the community engagement, essentially, we do have Discord channels, but there's a million Discords for different things. These people would be just plugging in or using their existing network to be more part of those communities. The other piece is, at least one critical factor to this, is we do have open source office hours, and I am wanting these developer advocates to attend those on the bi-monthly cadence, which is twice a month, and inform us, and we may have an internal once every other week, just so we're always aware of what's going on, and then obviously participate in the committee and help influence things that we need done. So that's kind of the basic thing that I'm hoping to achieve with this. The goals is obviously represent the developers, help us attract new developers, and the most important thing is retaining the existing ones. Those people on the periphery have tried to engage with Cardano, and now that intersects here, I still feel like we haven't been able to advocate for them or represent them, and I want to make sure that before anyone walks away from Cardano, they had the opportunity to engage. That is my primary goal, is to make sure we don't lose anyone, since our community is already big and we're hoping to get bigger. I rather have these guys who've been around in the game stay here, as well as bring in new people, but that way we actually have the knowledge on hand to help. Even though this is my open source office thing, I would want more developer advocates, even who aren't associated with Intersect, just to make sure we don't lose or have those opportunities for everybody. And then I'm hoping this also leads to the ecosystem development and innovation. There are multiple things going on in Cardano as a whole for incubation ideas outside of just Catalyst. and even trying to get accelerator programs stood up for projects on Cardano. Catalyst is a great way for the new ideas to go to MVP, but the MVP to business models or open source libraries, that's where I'm focusing on attacking, just to complement Catalyst's function. Y'all may see project incubation stuff come up in the near future, but the developer advocates are going to be a part of this whole process, and making sure that we capture these new ideas, filter in things, make sure if there's strategic projects that need support and or other things, we address those. Give me 1 second. Google is concerned. Yes, I'm recording myself. I'm staying in the call. I love Google. But I want to make sure that those tools, libraries, products, anyone and anywhere in Cardano, regardless if they're in Intersect or not, can survive and thrive. So the program components, the core thing people are going to want to know is the compensation structure. I have per developer advocate 5,000 for every quarter that'll be compensated for their time. And that's basically having active groups or active participation in working groups, the bi-monthly meetings with our office, and we can pay that out in any way. We could do fiat if they want, or that preferable is ADA. I mean, we're working in Cardano, might as well embrace it. And then there are some key working groups that I do want the developers to be in, just to try and plug into the ones who I think are not at risk, but concerned areas where those developers aren't represented well. Obviously, I'm going to leave this up to the developer advocates themselves. I'm reaching out to the community to be a part of the program because I don't know what I don't know. All I have is what I think needs to be focused, but obviously I'm open ears to these developers and their experiences about what we need to represent. The bi-monthly meetings, this is basically open source office hours. We could also set, if it mitigates from the intention of that original call, we can do a separate one. But this is where the community, I set up open source office hours so the community could engage with that department of Intersect outside of the committee calls and get me or Tex or whoever is in the office in the future, our opinions, questions, things like that. But this is where the developer advocates can plug in and we can review their insights and work on future strategies. The onboarding new developers is going to be a critical thing because going back to the education piece, I want to make sure we capture how is the best way to onboard new people. What is it they need to know? How do we, what education materials do we have? What are we missing? How can I coordinate this effort to best hit our target? And this goes into potentially workshops, mentorship, facilitating networking opportunities, things like that. I want to make sure our ecosystem gets a lot livelier than it already is. The other piece is I can't be everywhere at once, and I'm more of a troll when I participate in stuff, just with my comedic personality. So I need these developer advocates to be more out there. I'm old school. Like, I only have a Facebook. That's it. Well, I'm on LinkedIn because of that, but I'm not on Instagram, Twitter, mostly. I only do that if it's need be. And that's where I need the community manager side of it. People who are already plugged into these channels and answer questions, provide support, and encourage stuff. And I'm hoping these developer advocates are more smarter than me on developer stuff, what it's like to actually build and do things on Cardano. And so that's where this is that open call to apply if you feel like you can help here. And then, like it's already been said before, basically, this is also to pay for us to contribute back as well. So not only are we trying to bring people in to help Intersect and Cardano as a whole and get those pains and influence the policies and stuff, this is an opportunity for the developer advocates to be compensated to also contribute back to other projects and things like that, helping improve the process tools. This is for us to finally bring full circle what the community has done for us and us doing for the community. And I'm just trying to not centralize, but bring it all together so it's in the spotlight and we actually at least know where things are going. And so Just a brief overview of how the open source office is structured. Obviously, I'm the head at the top. We do have Tex, who started off as the open source analyst. He's now in the program manager role. I have both of those as a hybrid role right now, just until we get past the AMM in 2024. I'll expand and try to hire a more specific role for that analyst. But right now, it's just me and him tag teaming the open source office structure. And the developer advocate, like I was saying earlier, rather than having one person with too much bandwidth, I decided to break that out to actually bring in the community, because y'all are going to be better than me hiring just one person to tell them good luck. So this will be probably the biggest role in the open source office in the near future. I'm starting off with 3, but that will more than likely go up as Intersect grows membership base and such. But that's where this role comes in, the technical community name manager piece. The other 2 pieces, I'm still working on that. Legal structure, obviously, you need lawyers. I'm trying to come up with some consulting basis for projects as they need it, something that you could get consultation with. And then the technical evangelist, that'll be coming out probably 2025, but that's basically getting representation from actual projects to any of the open source events we go to for those projects to sell their the technology, Cardano, or anything that they're doing as a whole. Obviously, that needs a lot more strategy to it, because we want to be effective when we're doing that role. But for right now, this is just focusing on the developer advocate piece, which is core to the open source office being effective. Additional things that may come up, I don't expect this to be every single day, but essentially technical support, giving back to those projects, like I said. This is where the technical part of the community manager comes in, which is where you could help debug, do code reviews, and/or architecture consultations. Also be able to help with documentation and tutorials. Obviously, I have this open source channel that I just started. I want to help bring on more than my face, essentially. Bring in projects, do tutorials, expert interviews. I want this to be the go-to channel for everything technical on Cardano, if we can, or at least for sure Intersect. And then promotion and advocacy. Essentially, this is helping us with open source office services, giving back to projects by helping with case studies, doing those interviews, putting it up, webinars, all kinds of content creation, and then collaboration with other partners. Obviously, we will be doing the open source summit in Vienna in September. We are partnering with Modus and Tweag to go out there. I'm still wondering how that works, or there may be a chance for someone to join us to that event. I'm still working out the logistics of that because I don't know how many seats or what we're able to fund completely. But essentially, there's collaboration with different partners. Like the thing that I've been trying to get going is partnering with the CBIA. We just had our first call, but plugging in with alliances or different things like that. Pragma is someone I'm going to reach out to in the near future. I mean, we're all open source, and I want to get collaboration going across the whole. How can we help you? Help me help you, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. And I think that's the end of it. Yeah. So that's the gist of the program and the idea behind it. So if anyone has any questions, I can do the, yeah, here it is. So I was given a golden link, but this is the page. This is the URL up here if you want to screenshot that. But it essentially goes into it. This is the slides right there. I'm just asking for your personal basic stuff, media handles if you have it, where you're currently working, and then your interest as to why you want to do this and your hope to achieve it. I'm hoping to understand where you're coming from and your goal out of this, so that can help line up to where Intersect may engage. And then your skills and contributions. This is to help highlight where I know if we have a core concern come up from someone who needs support, I know which out of our group of people can best help with that. And then list of contributions. This is also to weigh people. This is so I know who's already doing the work, so they can be stand out amongst the rest. And then as I was agreeing, my goal is to pay this in ADA, but obviously whatever is preferable based on each person's situation. But we'll be doing that out quarterly, and then all you do is submit. The program is going out till July 14th. But if we get enough people, or I'm starting my review of the process next week. It's been a chaotic week for me this week. But I'll start reviews and reaching out to people who are standing out and start doing some. There's only going to be one interview to decide yes or no, I think, at this point in time, just because we need to get it up and running. And then it may be earlier than July 14th when I close the application deadline. But I will actually, it wouldn't be fair. I'll leave it open until July 14th, just to review everyone. That way you get your last minute submission, and then July 15th onward, we'll make the announcement of who those developer advocates are. But don't lose hope if you don't get selected this time. I'm hoping in October to December to open it up again and bring more people. This is just our attempt to test the program altogether, leading up to the AMM, and just trying to boost that impact that Intersect has right now. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and or text. I think our email is, one second, I don't even know our email sometimes. Of course, I don't know. I think it's oso@mbo.com. Let me go to the main. This is embarrassing. Yeah, oso@intersectmbo.org. That's the email. That took me longer than the rest of this presentation. Anyway, if you have questions, reach out. Thank you. Bye.